6.
Acara akan dimulai 5 menit lagi ya. Para peserta dimohon untuk menggunakan virtual background yang telah disediakan panitia.
Okay, thank you.
Recording in progress.
Can you see my screen? Bisa lihat screen saya? Hello?
Miss Aruka, please wait a moment. Ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan bagi kita semua. Selamat siang semuanya. Perkenalkan, saya Amira selaku Master of Ceremony pada event ALSA ICT Class yang mengangkat tema The Importance of Identity for Organizational Branding. ALSA ICT Class merupakan seminar yang bertujuan mengajarkan hal yang berhubungan dengan ICT Knowledge. ALSA ICT Class ini terdiri dari 2 rangkaian kegiatan. Rangkaian pertama berupa webinar yang mengangkat topik Brand Identity Guidelines, sedangkan pada rangkaian kedua akan dilaksanakan workshop di mana peserta dapat membuat logo dari studi case yang diberikan dan dilanjut dengan penilaian logo berupa feedback dari pemateri. Selanjutnya, saya akan membacakan tata tertib dari ALSA ICT Class kali ini. Yang pertama, peserta diharapkan memastikan koneksi internet cukup stabil dan aplikasi Zoom sudah diunduh dan diperbarui. Yang kedua, link Zoom akan dibagikan melalui grup peserta maksimal 30 menit sebelum acara dimulai. Yang ketiga, Ruang Zoom akan dibuka mulai pukul 12.30 waktu Indonesia Barat. Peserta diimbau untuk segera melakukan registrasi Zoom untuk menghindari antrian. Yang keempat, peserta akan diizinkan masuk ruang Zoom setelah dikonfirmasi oleh ALS. Yang kelima, peserta wajib rename Zoom dengan format instansi underscore nama. Contoh, ALSA LCIB underscore nama, LO underscore nama, dan publik underscore nama. Yang keenam, peserta diwajibkan untuk berpakaian rapi dan sopan. Yang ketujuh, selama acara berlangsung, peserta diwajibkan menonaktifkan atau mute mikrofon. Yang kedelapan, presensi dilakukan melalui link yang akan dibagikan saat acara berlangsung. Sehingga peserta wajib mengikuti acara dari awal hingga akhir. Yang kesembilan, jika terdapat kendala teknis saat mengikuti webinar atau koneksi terputus, mohon diklik kembali link yang telah tersedia di grup peserta. Yang ke-10, pada saat sesi pertanyaan, peserta diharap menggunakan fitur raise hand. Yang ke-11, peserta yang mendapat e-sertifikat adalah peserta yang mengisi Google Form pendaftaran dan mengikuti webinar dari awal hingga akhir. Yang ke-12, e-sertifikat hanya dibagikan melalui grup WhatsApp yang disediakan panitia paling lambat 7 hari setelah pelaksanaan kegiatan. Dan diharapkan peserta tidak meninggalkan grup sebelum e-sertifikat dibagikan. Baik, itulah tadi tata tertib dari ALSA ICT Class. Baik, sebelum kita memulai acara, ada baiknya kita memulai dengan berdoa. Berdoa dimulai. Berdoa tidak pernah berhenti, namun dapat dicukupkan. Memasuki agenda selanjutnya, kita akan menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya, yang kemudian akan diikuti dengan pemutaran ALSA Anthem. Pada para peserta diharapkan dapat bersikap dengan baik. Selanjutnya akan ada sambutan oleh Project Officer ALSA ICT Class. Kepada Raihan Adi Prawira, waktu dan layar dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan untuk kita semua. Selamat siang. Yang terhormat, Director of ALSA Local Chapter Universitas Brawijaya, Saudari Edelwis, yang pada kesempatan ini diwakilkan oleh Sekretaris 1, Saudari Alkansa Fatihah, dan peserta ALSA ICT Class yang berbahagia. Sebelumnya, perkenalkan, nama saya Rehan Rahman Hadi Prawira, selaku Project Officer ALSA ICT Class with the theme, The Importance of Identity for Organizational Branding. Identitas merupakan perangkat penting dari sebuah organisasi. Hal ini yang menunjukkan filosofi dari nilai dan tujuan yang akan dibangun oleh organisasi itu. Identitas yang baik dapat menunjukkan elemen visual dan non-visual, mulai dari nama, logo, warna, desain, dan citra terhadap organisasi itu. Oleh karena itu, kami berusaha menyediakan wadah yang dapat memberikan pemahaman bagaimana caranya membuat Brand Identity Guidelines atau BIG yang akan sangat berguna tentunya bagi peserta yang ingin atau sedang membangun sebuah brand. Kegiatan ini dibagi menjadi 2 sesi, di mana sesi pertama akan ada seminar yang di kesempatan ini telah hadir Ms. Raluka Fikovan, Managing Director of Keluar Kreatif, sebagai pemateri kita pada hari ini. Dan di sesi kedua akan ada workshop membuat logo dari studi kasus yang sudah kita siapkan. Saya harap setelah acara ini teman-teman peserta bisa mendapatkan insight dan pemahaman bagaimana membuat BIG yang baik dan benar. Sekian sambutan dari saya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi, Santi, Santi Om, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Together we be connected as one. May ALSA always be one.
Terima kasih kepada Saudara Raihan Adi Prawira atas sambutannya yang luar biasa. Selanjutnya akan ada sambutan oleh Director ALSA LCB yang akan diwakili oleh Sekretaris 1 Konsep. Kepada Saudari Alkansa Fatihah, waktu dan layar dipersilakan.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Salam kebajikan untuk kita semuanya. Sebelumnya, saya ingin menyambut terlebih dahulu para tamu undangan yang terhormat. Yang saya hormati Ms. Raluka Fikovan selaku Managing Director of Keluar Kreatif. Yang saya banggakan Raihan Rahman Adi Prawira selaku Project Officer dari ALSA ICT Class. Dan yang saya hormati pula seluruh peserta ALSA ICT Class. Sebelumnya, saya ingin mengucapkan mohon maaf yang sebesar-besarnya mewakili Edelwis selaku Director ALSA LCB karena Edelwis belum dapat hadir dikarenakan sedang menghadiri rapat pimpinan nasional oleh ALSA National Chapter Indonesia. Selanjutnya, izinkan saya untuk mengucapkan rasa terima kasih saya untuk Ms. Raluka Fikovan selaku pembicara dan seluruh peserta ALSA ICT Class yang sudah menyempatkan waktunya untuk hadir pada siang hari ini. Puji syukur kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Esa karena berkat dan rahmat-Nya kita semua bisa berkumpul secara daring di acara ALSA ICT Class 2023. Izinkan saya untuk memberikan kata terima kasih saya yang terdalam karena atas bantuan dan doa dari abang, kakak, dan teman-teman semuanya, ALSA Local Chapter Universitas Brawijaya dapat melaksanakan program kerja dari Divisi ICT, yaitu ALSA ICT Class. Semoga nantinya para peserta dapat mendapatkan esensi dari acara ALSA ICT Class ini, yaitu mengembangkan wawasan dan keterampilan kreatif untuk memperkuat organizational branding through brand identity. Sekali lagi, saya ucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada seluruh pihak yang sudah turut andil membantu menyukseskan ALSA ICT Class pada siang hari ini. Saya mohon maaf sekali lagi apabila ada kekurangan yang disengaja maupun tidak disengaja. Semoga acara ini bisa lancar sampai akhir acara. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi Santi Om Namo Buddhaya. Salam kebajikan bagi kita semua. Together we be connected as one. ALSA always be one.
Terima kasih kepada Saudari Alkansa Fatihah atas sambutannya yang luar biasa. Pemaparan materi ALSA ICT Class kali ini akan dipimpin oleh seorang moderator, yaitu Saudari Tania Sabrina Amalia. Oleh karena itu, izinkan saya untuk membacakan CV dari Saudari Tania. Nia Sabrina Amalia, atau bisa dipanggil Tania, merupakan seorang mahasiswa Fakultas Hukum Universitas Brawijaya. Tania seorang yang ambisius dan juga memiliki pola pikiran terbuka. Saat ini, Tania tergabung di dalam ALSA LCB sebagai Staff ICT Division, serta masih banyak pengalaman dan prestasi dari Saudari Tania yang tidak bisa saya sebutkan satu persatu. Sebelum saya serahkan kepada moderator, kepada partisipan, jangan lupa nih untuk mengikuti semua sosial media ALSA LCUB agar tidak ketinggalan mengenai insight-insight yang akan diberikan oleh ALSA LCUB, yaitu ada Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, serta website. Baik, untuk seterusnya, moderator akan mengambil alih acara. Kepada Saudari Tania, saya persilakan.
Terima kasih Amira. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan untuk kita semua. Selamat siang semuanya. Perkenalkan, saya Tania selaku moderator pada acara hari ini. Sebelum memulai acara pada hari ini, saya informasikan kembali pada para peserta bahwasannya setelah penyampaian materi akan ada sesi tanya jawab. Oleh karena itu, diharapkan untuk para peserta dapat mempersiapkan pertanyaannya terlebih dahulu. Okay, first of all, I would like to welcome our speaker, Mrs. Raluca Vikoven, who will talk about the importance of identity for organizational branding. Good afternoon, Mrs. Raluca. Are you present?
Good afternoon, everyone. Selamat siang.
Okay, how are you feeling for today?
I'm feeling very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to present in front of everybody today.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Raluca. Okay, before we start the material exposure, let me read Mrs. Raluca curriculum vitae.
Okay.
Raluca Vikoven is an entrepreneur specifically in marketing field. She has many marketing-related experience and education. Now she manages a digital marketing agency based in Bali. Mrs. Raluca has many other experience that I cannot mention one by one. Okay, without any further ado, for Mrs. Raluca Vikoven, time and screen is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Selamat siang semuanya. I apologize in advance. This presentation will be held in English, but I'm pretty sure everybody will understand. And I'm looking forward to your questions at the end. As everybody has already mentioned, today we'll be speaking about the importance of identity for organizational branding. A little bit about Just 1 second. A little bit about myself. Yes, my Raluca Vikoven is my maiden name. Today, my name is Raluca Flex. A little bit of background story. I have moved to Bali 8 years ago. And it wasn't supposed to happen like this, but life brought me here. I'm very excited to now be an Indonesian resident. Before this, I grew up in Romania, in Bucharest, where I studied marketing and PR. And then moved to London, where I completed my master's in communications. That means that based on the experience that I've had after I have now worked in marketing and digital marketing, to be more precise, for about 14 years now in Asian, Australian, and European markets. Founded Kula Creative, which is an online marketing agency in Bali 6 years ago, where we help businesses develop branding, marketing strategies, websites, and everything in between. We have worked with over 200 brands in Indonesia and worldwide, and are now excited to be able to help businesses further. So let's get into it. Enough about us. What we'll be covering today is what is brand identity and why it's important. Logo, brand colors, typography, taglines, tone of voice, and we will also be doing a little exercise, which we call the Cooler Way. Is everybody ready? Okay. What is brand identity and why is it important? So brand identity is what your business is known for, what contact you make with your business as soon as you see it offline, but also online. Online, obviously, we're referring about websites, social media, advertising, and so forth. Offline is shops, shop fronts, and all sorts of things like that. However, brand identity is made of visual elements, but also non-visual elements. These visual elements, which we'll be covering today, are made of logos, typography, colors of your business, but also the tone of voice that you're using when you're addressing your clients and your audience. The non-visual elements are your mission, your vision, your values, and the solution that you bring to your target audience for your business, which are directly connected to the visual elements that I've just mentioned earlier. Together, they make your brand philosophy. It's important before you start any sort of exercise, such as logos and all of the things that we'll be discussing shortly, it's important to understand your brand philosophy, the why, which is the why you're doing the business, and the solution that you bring to the world through the existing of your business. So let's get straight into it. Why is brand identity important? Brand identity is important for a variety of reasons. It's your way of standing out in front of your audience, but then also in front of your competitors. It's a way for you to be recognizable. So the example above, McDonald's, it's a logo and a branding that, you can see it from afar and straight away that that's McDonald's, through the colors, through the fonts, through the little symbols that they use, right? It also builds trust because when you're being unique and also when you're recognizable, it means that you have an experience behind you and a track record. It also helps connect emotionally through the use of color, through the use of fonts and all of the things that we'll be covering soon. Allows for brand recognition, but then also, most importantly, it allows for continuity. Continuity meaning that if you are thinking about expanding or opening in multiple cities or in multiple locations, then you are able to then bring forward the identity that you've created and multiply it in each of the locations that you will be opening. Now, let's discuss about visual identity. First off, how do we develop a logo? You would think that you would develop a logo by getting straight into it, starting to draw up or starting to get inspiration or making up symbols and calligraphy and all of that. Firstly, before you create a logo, you need a name, right? You can't have a logo without having a business name. But after you've come up with your name for your business, you need a story of your brand. The why, the what, and the how you will be operating your business. The way that you do that, you have a couple of different ways to get to that point. Firstly, you need to have a complete overview, a 360-degree overview of where your business will be active. So will you be having a office that people can come visit you? Will you be having a website? Will you be having signage on the road? Or will you be having books or leaflets that people want to read? So where will your branding be present? That's something that you firstly have to think about. Then you can start into your research. By research, I mean research of your own industry. So what's going on in the industry that you're trying to open your business? What competitors are you up against? And then also what are the trends going on within that sector and what you're up against? Thirdly, we like to make a list of 3 to 5 logos that we admire, and we put down a reason why. Why that it's important is that it allows us to identify the elements that we believe that our business aligns with, and we are able to get inspiration or at least have a starting point. And with that, we can start conceptualizing. We can draw, we can use collages from magazines, from newspapers, or we can even use AI. So the image to my right here is a logo that has been generated with an AI software called Midjourney, and where you literally input a couple of keywords of what you're looking to do with your logo, and within seconds, the AI is generating this logo. AI is an amazing concept, is an amazing tool for conceptualization. It allows you to get creative and think outside of the box. And then finally, you then test and refine. By test and refine, I mean you do applications on websites or social media accounts or even printouts. We can discuss about that a little bit further. Then we like to personify our brand. So then imagine if your brand was a person, how would she or he look like? What would she be wearing? How would she be speaking? What would she be into? What movies would she watch? What music would she be listening to? Any sort of hobbies, personality traits, what does she do for work? So try to create an avatar of your brand persona, and then that will then allow you for more clarification onto where you're going and what direction you're going to take with your logo. We have also some pro tips for you to understand the angle from which you're going to look at the logo. You can get inspired from some really awesome websites such as Behance, Dribbble, or Pinterest even. All you need to do is to get a bit clear on like what keywords you're wanting to use, but as soon as you're getting clear with that, it's pretty straightforward on how to use these platforms. Use elements that are obvious or relevant to your trade. By that I mean, say for a law office branding, you would be potentially thinking of using a building symbol so that people think about law straight away when they see your brand. Also, remember that inspiration is there to be used as a starting point. The most important exercise of it all is how to make that uniquely you. We always encourage people to be ethical with their designs, which means to get inspired, but don't copy. After you're doing all of this, you can mock up some of the applications with the logo once you're set on a certain style. A good idea would be to also try and print your logo on paper, because that would then allow you to see how that would look like on business cards and things like that, which is a great way to check whether the fonts that you're using are thick enough to be read, or yeah, basically if they're easy readable. Once you're done with your logo, there's a couple of things that you need to be looking at in terms of your logo do's. So that would be your positioning, your color variations, your orientation. If you're having various different background colors or various different colors for your logo, which that is possible as well. This is shown in this example here, where we worked with a client that has used both black and white backgrounds, but then also gold backgrounds as well. Just 1 second. Okay. Also, when you're creating a logo, you're looking at logo don'ts. So some of the don'ts that we have used specifically for this example is not to use any other colors outside of the primary colors that we've chosen for this brand. Don't add any other icons or symbols in or around the logo. Do not reduce the opacity. The logo must remain solid, which means to be red. Do not tilt the logo, do not stretch the logo, do not stretch the logo vertically or horizontally. So these are just examples of ways to think about your logo and how exactly you want it to be portrayed. You don't want your logo to be able to be altered in any way or changed once you have decided on a final version. When we were speaking earlier about testing and applications, testing it on a website or on a mobile view is just an example of how that can be tested. So here on the desktop view, we have tested it in the top left side corner in gold, and on the website we have tested it almost in the middle with the black version. Now let's move to brand colors. Brand colors are something that we are really passionate about. You can think about a bunch of things when you think about colors. The symbolism, the psychology, the trends, or even the personal preference. So when it comes to symbolism, there's a couple of things, even I've posted here. I don't know if you can check. Let me see if I can move this around. Okay, great. So this is an example of symbolism and psychology as well when it comes to branding and colors. If you want to use red, it suggests love and warmth and courage and passion. If you want to use orange, it transmits kindness, joy, innovation. If you want to use purple, it's mysterious, it's sophisticated, eccentric, luxurious. So there's various different meanings behind colors for your brand. If you identify any of these meanings match your business, then go ahead and try and test it out. Also, in terms of trends, as we know, change every year. These are the top colors for trends in 2023. We do like the trends and we do like to work with trends. However, you have to remember that, as I said, trends do change every year. So you want to ensure that when you're using a color for your branding, it doesn't need to change seasonally or it doesn't need to change every year. You can businesses if you do wish after a couple of years to give it a fresher look, but it needs to stay consistent and it needs to be able to survive the test of time, really. When it comes to typography, also known as fonts, there's a couple of things to take into consideration for that as well. One is that you, again, can research trends. There's cool fonts that are being used every year that, you know, back in the day it was sans serif and everybody was using sans serif, and now it's a thing of the past. Now you can go and check font banks, either free or paid. Most of our businesses prefer to use paid fonts because they're more unique and not all other businesses use them. You have to test your applications, as I said, make them readable, and create versions of your font once you're set on one. So how does it look? Thin, light, regular, and extra bold? Are you going to be using the different variations for your headers, for your paragraphs? When you're creating your documentation, how would that look like? So it's a little bit of test and trial and exercising, but then also trying to think about the whole branding, communication, and visualization as a whole. Oops, sorry. Next one is tone of voice. So that's something as well that we include in our brand identity books. We look at the brand personality, which ties in with the example that I gave earlier with trying to give your brand a personality. So what does she wear and what does she like to watch and all sorts. Your target audience, and also a little tool that we like to use is the brand archetypes wheel. So this is the wheel. It's something that you can find online, but it basically helps you identify how are you looking in this spectrum of order, freedom, ego, social. Which one are you and what describes you the best? And the example that I gave you earlier for our Kohaku client, we identified that their brand was a creator. The creator is a pioneer. It's inspiring creativity, creating an authentic brand story, fusing technology and artistry. So each of these archetypes come with a set of attributes. So what's their core desire, the goal, the greatest fear, strategy, weakness, talent, and also other names for creator. So this helps you identify on the spectrum, where does your brand sit? And it can allow you to, just do some more digging into your brand and what does it stand for, which is ultimately the most important part in the branding exercise. Taglines. Taglines come, you can have a tagline or you can not have a tagline. It's not something that your business necessarily needs, but it's something that, especially if you're product centered, is a very, very cute thing to have. So there's a couple of things they need to bear in mind when you're creating a tagline. One, the clarity of the message that you're sending through. So no inside jokes or hidden meanings to what you're trying to communicate. Creativity of phrasing, meaning that it's something catchy or it's something just cleverly constructed that makes you remember it or even like think about it. And basically, just appreciate the creativity of it, and includes a benefit of what your business provides. So M&M's tagline before, and you can change also your taglines like M&M did in this example. So M&M's tagline before was, it melts in your mouth, not your hand. But then when they created another product, which is the new chocolate bar, then they upgraded their tagline from the chocolate bar melts in your mouth and your hand. It's finger licking good. So it's a very fun and creative way to show that it's delicious. It doesn't upset you if it melts in your hand as well, and it basically says what it is. Now, we are going to continue lastly with our exercise, which is a mind map, a creative exercise to help build your brand. This is something that we start off with whenever we create our logos. And I'm very excited for you to have a little run with this and let me know how you go. So the mind map is basically an exercise in which you put in your in the middle of a piece of paper, you grab a piece of paper, in the middle of the piece of paper, you put in the name of your brand. Then you write around your brand a number of keywords that come to mind when you think about your brand. These things that you come to mind will be apparent once you go through all of the exercises that we've just discussed beforehand. Then from those keywords, you can think about related keywords or similar keywords that are related to these attributes of your brand, and you branch out. So the way that we think about that is, what are you, this, not that, meaning basically we are this, but we are not that. So that will make you clear in terms of your brand persona. Another way that you can think about it is good guys versus the bad guys. We like to make this metaphor of our business is the superhero. What villains are they fighting? So then that also makes you understand better what the solution of your brand is and what you're doing for your target audience. What problems is your brand solving? And as I said, yes, what solutions in your organization? And that's about it from me. I know that you have we've discussed it. There will be a couple of questions in the group. So if you have any questions for me, I'll gladly take them. Thank you so much for your attention today.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Raluka, for your insightful presentation. It was very informative and it definitely helped us to gain more knowledge on brand identity. Moving on to the next agenda, which is question and answer session. So for participants who wants to get to know more about marketing or brand identity, you may raise your hand. Baik, bagi para peserta yang ingin bertanya atau masih penasaran tentang marketing, boleh ditanyakan di Q&A session ini. Dan bagi partisipan yang memiliki pertanyaan, bisa menggunakan fitur raise hand atau bisa diketik di kolom chat box. Okay, here we have Fateh. For the Fateh, time is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, Miss. My name is Fateh. Today I have a question: how to make sure that you have found the perfect brand identity? Thank you.
Good question, Fateh. Thank you. If you think that you have achieved the perfect brand identity, that it reflects your business in each of the ways that I've presented before, it speaks to your mission, to your values. The aesthetic is something that when you look at it, it feels like home, then you have achieved the perfect brand identity. When it comes to marketing and when it comes to aesthetic, you will find that it's a question of it's a very subjective question. So what I like, you might not like, and what you like, I might not like. So when you have decided that this is going to be the logo that you'll be going for your business, then just go with it with courage and with confidence, and know they will be received as it deserves. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you,
you,
Miss.
Mrs. Raluka, for your answer. For Fateh, is there any feedback question?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fateh. Then let's move on to the next question. Here we have Dylan. For Dylan, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Dylan. So I want to ask a question. Wait. How impactful or important is color theory in branding? Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. It is important. It is something that it's extremely used in branding. However, there have been brands who have gone a little bit against what the color psychology suggests. So some of the theories out there suggest that a red color is passionate, but then also it can mean danger. So there's every opinion for everything out there. You always have opposites opinion about any given facts, right? However, it's a good starting point. So say that you have chosen your business industry and what you will want to open, or what business you want to operate. Have a look at what that industry or what that service aligns with in terms of color psychology, and see if that feels like something that you would want to identify yourself with. You have to remember that behind every business, there's actual people that it's your baby that you're creating, so it has to resonate with you firstly and foremost, and then after that, after it's resonating with you, you can then start to ask a couple of friends or a couple of colleagues to see whether what you have created or what you've decided to come up with is something that they agree with as well. However, this also goes in a double-edged sword as well, because sometimes people have a lot of opinions and can deter you from your journey. But I would say the same as I said in Fatih's question, that if you are aligned with it and if you believe in it, then it must be the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Raluca, for your answer. For Dylan, is there any feedback question?
No.
Or is it enough? Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have Tio. You can ask your question now. Time is yours.
Thank you, Tania, for the opportunity. Good afternoon, Raluca. May I ask a question? My question is, how to develop our sense of art, because somehow I know how to operate Photoshop, but it's still hard to make any design because I don't think I have that kind of sense of art, you know. Do you get my question, Raluca?
Yes, great question.
Maybe you.
Yeah. Firstly, the sense of art and the sense of creativity comes with practice. So the more you work towards something, the better you get at it. I myself, when I first started, I wasn't really sure. I was always doubting myself, second guessing all of the designs that I was creating. So it's just a matter of practice. However, if you're stuck in a design or in a process, you can always get inspired. So that's why I listed down those websites that you can look at, Dribbble, Pinterest, Behance. It's full with creative content from all sorts of talented people that put down upload their designs. And you can always check, like, how are other people thinking, you know, like it's getting inspired is it's very important. It's very important to keep up to date with what people are doing out there, to keep yourself informed and educated with what the latest trends are, and then try to try to make those designs yours. It takes time, but you just have to have patience and believe in yourself. I'm sure you'll get there.
Okay, may I have a follow-up question, Tania?
Okay, Tio, you can have your feedback question.
Okay, thank you. So, as you say, somehow when we are stuck, we are looking for reference. Let's say Pinterest. In your opinion, how far is the standard of plagiarism? How far the standard is?
Well, it should be pretty strict in my eyes. I think that it's very important to always design ethically. It's one thing to get inspired, and it's another thing to straight up copy. So in what my eyes, plagiarism looks like is straight up copying a symbol and putting a different color. That for me means that you've plagiarized and you haven't put any sort of creative input in there. even if you just changed, even if you changed something, you didn't change enough for it to be yours. So I guess that as I mentioned in the presentation, make a list of 3 or 5 logos that you admire, and then look at the elements of why you admire that logo, and maybe you can combine them together and then give it your own personal touch. There's various different ways that you can go about it, but yeah, don't straight up copy. That's not cool.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Raluca, for your answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tio, for your question. Then let's move on to the next question. Here we have Inyoman. You can ask your question now. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the moderator. Good evening, Miss Raluca. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Good evening, Yaman.
Okay. Maybe I want to ask questions about philosophy of the logo that you've been mentioned before. Is having a philosophy of or meanings behind the design of a logo really important, or is it just enough for the logo to be able to represent and highlight our brand identity?
A philosophy is not 100% needed. It's again a personal choice when you create it. We've had clients before that have just wanted simply to just have a logo for their name, straight up, easy. They didn't really care about all of the different applications and the meanings. They just wanted to look pretty. In terms of what we believe as an agency, because we're so passionate about it, the philosophy and the meaning and the story, the brand story and everything that goes with it, is something that it just gives it more meaning. It's not just another logo out there, just another meat business there that is operating things for the sake of operating it. If you have your heart and your soul in your brand, then spend time to figure out what is the brand philosophy, what do you stand for. I think that a business that isn't clear on those things can get easily sidetracked, can get easily sucked into business practices that they are not aligned with, working with people they aren't aligned with, or not in alignment is what I would describe not having a brand philosophy behind your brand. Does that answer your question, Yoman?
Yes, it answered my question, but I have some pop questions. What do you think about brand that having that great philosophy behind it? I want to know that if you have any brand in mind that having a good philosophy behind the logo or anything.
Right. So the logo that we developed here, I don't know if you can still see my screen. Let's just go back to this. Okay. So I don't know if you can see it, but right here, in the O, there's a little mantis, it's called, the praying mantis, which is Japanese symbol, because the owner of this brand is Japanese. So he really wanted to bring in the philosophy of Japan and the way of working into the brand, right? So for him, the praying mantis, which is this little dot that you can't really see, but you know it's there. It's almost like a little angel overlooking the brand, and the owner's personal touch and presence in what Kohaku represents. So I thought that this idea was absolutely beautiful. And it was something that we passionately worked on. So I think that whenever you do bring these little elements and philosophies in your branding, it's all a success story. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it answers my questions pretty much. Maybe that will be all for me. Thank you for answering my question, Ms. Raluca. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, you too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nyoman, for your question. Next, we have Naila Indah Tania. Time is yours. You can answer. You can ask your question now.
Okay, so hi, my name is Naila, and I just want to ask about your opinion about how can a company effectively communicate its brand identity to consumers and ensure consistency across various marketing channels. Thank you. And by the way, thank you so much for your presentation, Miss.
Thank you so much, Naila. Consistency. So the way that you stay consistent with your branding is by following these little rules that I was mentioning before. Just 1 second, let's go back to here. So this is you being consistent. This is how your brand will always be looking like. You would always have these variations of branding, and you always be able to follow them. The reason why you would have like black, white, and colorful backgrounds, by the way, to your branding is because you always have a black or a white background either on your business card or your website or in all sorts of materials that initially you're not really thinking about, but they will come up and then you'll realize, oh my God, like I haven't organized this variations of color branding for myself. So by having these in place, then you know exactly when the time comes that you need to use these different backgrounds or these different applications, they will be ready. And by having the don'ts, then you will know what you don't do with the brand. So you will never allow any other colors or orientations or stretching or alignments or goals within your branding, because that would then take away from what your brand is, right? So then once you have all of these rules in place, then you'll be able to stay consistent and have a aligned image of your brand across all of the channels where you'll be operating. Does that answer your question, Naila?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, for Naila, is that follow up the question for you from you?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Naila. Okay, sorry, for Raluca, if you wanna share your presentation, you can ask the operator for your co-host.
If I want to do, sorry, what? Is there any other questions? Hello?
Okay, here we have another question from Ali and Rafa.
Okay.
For Ali and Rafa, time is yours.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miss. I have a question. What are the key elements that contribute to a successful and cohesive brand identity? And how can a brand ensure consistency across various touchpoints and customer experiences?
Well, the elements that make your brand identity yours are the logo, the brand colors, typography, and your tone of voice, and taglines if you have any. So once you have identified each of these things that you've designed your logo, you have picked your colors, you have picked your fonts, then you would have created your best and only brand identity. And the way that you keep consistent across your channels is by having these elements, which we've done the logo do's. So the logo do's are what ensures that your brand is consistent across your multiple channels. So in our example here is how Kohaku looks here. So this is an example of what I was saying earlier, that you have the black background, but on the mobile it looks white. So that's why it's important for you to have the different background variations for your brand. But that's not a problem at all, because you have already identified that, okay, when you have a black background, you either have a golden or a white writing over it. And when you have a white background, you either have a black or black and a golden logo. So which one do you choose? It's down to you. Do you want to use only this version where you have these applications for your backgrounds, or you want to use these variations? That's totally down to you. Our client was happy with either option. So as long as we're using these options and none of these, then we are consistent with our branding across all of our channels. Does that answer your question, guys?
Yes, it answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Permission to the moderator, can I have a follow-up question?
Yes, Rafa, you can have your follow-up question.
Okay, my next question is, what crucial factors should businesses prioritize when creating a logo design that effectively communicates with their brand values, captivates their target audiences, and withstands the test of time amidst the constantly changing design trends?
Great question. I would say that have your name in the logo. Some businesses also like to have their taglines under the logo. I think that is fine. However, it might get a bit difficult in printing, because sometimes the taglines use a thinner font. So it gets a little bit complicating in printing. So as long as you have your name in the logo, then that's the best way for you to communicate your business identity. And in terms of color, I would stick with a color from the color psychology wheel in order to stand the test of time. So these are, the main colors, and obviously you'd have different versions of these colors, but as long as you stick to these, I think that you're pretty much safe. In saying that, again, it's personal preference. So if you want to use this little soft pink color or this indigo color, that's totally up to you. It's not to say that if you use the trendy color versus the original colors is right or wrong. It will come down to testing your logo on the different channels and printing them and applying them on, mocking up your website, mocking up your social media, mocking up your brochures, and if it's consistent across all of these channels, then it will stand the test of time, because this is who you are, uniquely you.
Okay, thank you, Miss. Maybe this is the last question that I have for you. This is a rather simple one, but I would like to ask for your opinion on how a lot of companies lately have been simplifying their logos. What do you think of that?
I don't think it's good or bad. I think, as I said, with marketing, it's a lot to do with trends. It makes me think whether these companies, after the trends have finished, will they consider doing a redesign of their logo? Will they still identify with that brand, say, in 10 years' time, depending on where they are at their stage in life? We've worked with businesses before, with entrepreneurs that opened their businesses in their 20s and wanted, like you're saying, a very simplified logo, which was in line with what the trends were doing at the time. And soon enough, in like 5 years, you want to change it again because it didn't any longer match their personality, I guess. They're at a different stage in life, and that's okay as long as your business does a transition. I think that the transitioning to one brand identity to another is a different class that we would need to have. Once you're successfully transitioning from one brand identity to another, then it shouldn't really be a problem.
Okay, thank you, Ms. That perfectly answered my question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rafa, for the question. Now we're moving on to the next question from Lanti that asked in the chat box. So I will read Lanti question. How can a clear brand identity help organizations attract and retain top talent in their industry? Mrs. Raluca, you can answer it directly.
Sorry, Tanya, do you mind repeating the question again? I didn't really hear it.
Oh, okay. So how can a clear brand identity help organizations attract and retain top talent in their industry?
Retain top talent in the industry. I think this is a question more related to HR. Not entirely sure that it has anything to do with the branding side of things, unless the creative team within the industry is in charge of creating the brand identity. I wouldn't know. In our case, the way that we retain creativity in our agency is by fostering our relationship with our staff and making sure that they are consistently in touch with what's going on in the industries, what the trends are, what the projects that they're involved in, spark their creativity, the conversations that we're having, and things like that. And like I said before, AI is a very cool tool to use to spark identity, and it's helping a lot of professionals in this industry have a starting point. So that's something that you could play with as well.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Raluca. Then let's moving on to the next question. Here we have Muhammad Rahman Adam. For Muhammad Rahman Adam, you can ask your question now. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, am I audible, moderator? Okay, good afternoon, Miss. I would like to ask some of the questions that I've been thinking about regarding the session. So my first question is, in an era of rapidly evolving market trends and consumer preferences, how can businesses ensure that their brand identity remains relevant and adaptable over time without losing its core essence?
Great question. Your brand identity is your brand identity, regardless of the year you're in. Sure, it will change with time as you evolve as a person and as the brand evolves. There's you know, this other, I wouldn't call it a trend. I think that it's more of an awareness, but a lot of businesses have taken on as a trend as well. I'm talking about sustainability. So this is something that a lot of businesses have learned more about and have educated themselves more about, and have decided to take on their brand values, the fact that they're sustainable or they want to promote sustainable practices. So, but that doesn't change who they are and the services or the products that they're providing to their audiences, right? So in order for you to stand the test of time with your branding is by doing these little exercises that we've discussed and identifying who you really are, what you're really about, and what do you stand for, and what essentially, if you know for sure the solution that you're providing to a problem that your target audience has, then that should forever be the answer, regardless of the year that you're operating your business.
Okay, thank you, Ms. For is there any follow-up question?
Okay, thank you for the answer. There's no follow-up question, but I have the next question in line. So can you explain more about brand archetypes and why are they important, Miss?
So about archetypes, so this is just a tool for you to find out a little bit more information if you say are stuck with the various different just personality traits that your brand has. So if you go on just on Google, you can Google up the brand archetypes and you can find the various different types and say one of them stands out to you in your brand. If you choose that one, then you will go into further detail about every bit of these things that the archetype stands for. This is what the creator, for example, in our brand, in our client identified, and that helped them and us understand more about who they are and what they're doing.
Thank you, Mrs. Shaluka, for the answer. For Muhammad Rehan Adam, is there any other question or a follow-up question?
Thank you for the answers. I guess that would be my final question. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Muhammad Rehan Adam. Next, let's moving on to the next question. Here we have Arya Maulana. For Arya Maulana, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. First of all, good afternoon, Miss Rolka. I think I want to ask you one question. The question is, according to you, what is more important, font or color theory in making logo for our brand or our organization? That's it.
Sorry, do you mean what color is most important, or
no, what is more important, font or color? Yeah.
Right. I think both in the mix are important. You can't take one over another, because your brand needs to come in a color, right? So I think that as long as if you're not sure about the color, just keep it simple, don't overcomplicate it, and that shouldn't be an issue. Most brands in the recent times have decided to go more along the non-color variations like grays and blacks and whites and all of that, and they kept it safe and simple. If you feel that you're not like, you know, a color person, you can keep it simple and safe like that, but they're both important.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Mrs. Sharuka. For Arya, is there any feedback question or any other question?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arya. Okay, next, let's move to the next question. Here we have Jibril Lanang. For Jibril Lanang, time is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, Miss. Good afternoon, moderator. So first of all, I want to apologize for not being able to turn on my camera due to a problem with my camera. I also want to say that I really like the way you presented it to us. It was really insightful. Okay, so for the question is, in terms of designing a logo for a small business, which one do you think will be better to be able to stand out more, following trends, and what's popular on markets, or making a personal and unique designs? I think that's it.
I would always go personal and unique over trends and what's happening. But if you can marry the both, so say you sketch up your own logo, it's always good to have a look at what's out there as well. But that's not to say that if you're set on a design that it's uniquely you need to change your mind and adapt according to what other people are doing now.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you, Miss. Thank you, moderator.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for your answer, Ms. Laruka. For Jibril Lanang, is there any other question?
That's it. I think that's it, moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we moving on to the next question. Here we have Keika Arigi. For Keika Arigi, time is yours.
All right, thank you, Tanya, and good afternoon, Saluka. I would like to have a question, but I'm not gonna asking about the tools or about the Photoshop things maybe, but I would like to ask what makes you interest on graphic designing, and what age do you have that interest on graphic design? That's the first question. Thank you.
All right. Good. Thank you. Thank you for your question. I was always passionate about designing. I was always interested in what looked beautiful and what caught my eye and what caught other people's eye. So I would always research things like that in magazines, in TV, online. I always had a keen interest in design. In terms of when I actually started, I learned how to use Photoshop in my early 20s. I used it personally until we started expanding our team for about 5-6 years. To this day, I like looking at keep myself educated and to be in the know. So I think it's going to be a lifelong process of trying to stay educated about it. So it never grows old.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saluka. And maybe the second question I would like to, you are now the CEO of the School Creative, am I right?
Correct.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about that. And you have many experience about facing the client, maybe the good and the worst. Can you tell me, or can you tell me the story that how you facing the good client and the bad client, the way you speak like that?
Good question. Well, firstly, there's no such thing as bad clients. That's a joke. No, there's always going to be difficult clients. You just have to pack yourself with a lot of patience and a lot of understanding of why they're being difficult. Is there a problem that we're not solving? Is there a communication issue? Is there a cultural issue that we found as well? Because we do live in Indonesia, right? And we do work with a lot of international clients. And sometimes we do need to communicate, find any lost in translation situations. But ultimately, what we have found that works best for us is to find and work with clients that are aligned with how we like to do business and how, what our values are and how we consider ourselves to be perceived in the industry. So once we are aligned with clients like that understand this vision and have the same values as ours, we almost have no misunderstandings or conflicts or difficult situations to manage against each other. Obviously, like them as a company will face difficult times because this is business, and our job as their marketing partner is to help them navigate that difficult time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Luca, for your insight. Maybe that's all from me, and I wish you the best for you and for the Killer Creative and the team. Thank you, Mr. Luca, for that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Keika Arigi. For other participants, is there any participant that's still confused or have anything to ask about marketing or brand identity? You can raise your hand or type it on the chat box.
Tanya, I will have to say that this will be the last question I'll be able to take, if that's okay, just because the kids are starting to cry around me, so I don't want to make them wait any longer.
Okay, Mira will be the last question for you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Mira.
Good afternoon, Ms. Raluca. First of all, I would like to say that I really love your presentation because I myself also enjoys designing. And my question is actually about a logo that I have made myself. So this little logo over here is the one that I made for this event today. And I have to admit that in the process of making this logo, I did not think about the personality or philosophy of it. So do you have any feedbacks or advice for me to make more logos in the future?
Hi, Mira. Awesome job. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I think that the logo is really representative of what you guys are doing here. The way that you would think about the personality of your organization, basically, is maybe pick a couple of key representatives of the organization and have a little exercise together and try to identify the reason why you've created this organization. What does it stand for? What do you wish to communicate with this? So have like a couple of keywords, and then you'll see eventually the keywords will start to morph in some sort of a direction that will speak to you and will allow you to just make more informed, I guess, decisions in the future. But as I said, going a little bit outside the box, it's absolutely fine. So if this logo spoke to you and everybody else identify themselves with this, and they looked at it and said, heck yeah, this is who we are, then I think that you've done a great job.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you, Mira. Maybe there are so many questions that asked from the enthusiast participant, but because of the limited time, we must end this question and answer session. Thank you, Mrs. Raluca, for your insightful exposure. Before we close our webinar session, is there any closing statement that you want to say about your previous materials?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you all for the questions. They were such good questions, and it made me understand that you've actually paid attention to what I presented. So I'm happy that I could contribute today, and hopefully I have given you enough tools for you to think about design and brand identity in the future. And if you ever have any other questions or you're not sure about what to do, you can always email me at raluca@kulacreative.com, and I'll happily answer your questions there.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Raluca, for your closing statement. Once again, thank you, Mrs. Raluca, for your insightful materials that help us to improve our knowledge about brand identity guidelines. Okay, now we're moving on to our next agenda, which is workshop session. Baik, untuk sesi selanjutnya yaitu workshop. Sebelumnya terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta Zoom yang sudah hadir di webinar hari ini. Diharapkan para peserta webinar yang mengisi link presensi yang sudah dikirimkan oleh panitia melalui kolom chat. Untuk sistematika dari workshop kita kali ini akan dibacakan oleh masing-masing fasilitator di dalam chambernya masing-masing. Kepada peserta yang sudah mendaftar workshop, silakan memasuki chambernya masing-masing.
Recording stopped.
selalu ada di room ini. Buat ada yang mau nanya seputar tools atau kasus posisi atau gimana cara ngeditnya atau apapun itu, mau langsung on mic aja atau misalnya bisa juga PC ke aku lewat Zoom chat. Makasih, selamat mengerjakan semuanya.
Terima kasih, Mira.
Dan diinformasikan buat semua peserta di sini, kalau misalnya udah selesai buat logonya, di grup yang di WhatsApp udah di-share link Google Drive buat pengumpulan logo, nanti bisa langsung di-upload di sana ya. Thank you.
Oke, Mira.
Recording in progress.
Bentar. Bentar. Okay, since the time for our workshop session is up, now we will have our feedback session from our judges speaker, Mrs. Laluka. But because Mrs. Laluka have another agenda, she will be replaced by account manager of Rural Creative, Eric Adi Prawira. For Mr. Eric Adi Prawira, you can announce the winner and give some feedback.
Halo. 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 Ya, bisa kedengeran nggak suaranya? Halo. Moderator, kalau misalnya suara saya kedengeran, kasih tahu aja ya. Soalnya suara moderatornya nggak masuk. Ya. Halo. Kayaknya masih nggak kedengeran deh suara moderatornya. Sebentar ya, saya join ulang lagi. Suara moderatornya nggak kedengeran. Jadi saya nggak tahu udah kedengeran apa enggak suaranya. Takutnya suara nggak masuk.
Halo, apa suara aku terdengar dengan jelas?
Nah, ini baru kedengeran.
Oke.
Halo semuanya, salam kenal. Sorry ya, ada karena Raluka ada agenda lain, jadi nggak bisa join untuk selanjutnya di feedback. Tapi saya di sini mewakilkan Raluka untuk menentukan pemenang dan memberikan komentar untuk 3, mungkin maksimal 3 kali ya, 3 feedback aja. Nah, untuk pemenang ini mau langsung pemenang dulu apa feedback dulu?
Boleh feedback dulu, Kak.
Feedback dulu. Tadi aku udah kirim feedbacknya ke Rehan ya. Ada 3 yang dipilih untuk saya kasih feedback. Yang pertama itu coba di bawah. Yang hijau atas ini udah masuk. Oh enggak, yang ini enggak. Sorry. Coba aja. Tepat. Oke, kalau misalnya feedback dari saya, yang pokok ini sebenarnya bagus. Means kalau misalnya dari namanya dari tipografinya, kemudian dari pemilihan warna, itu udah bisa tersampaikan. Tapi ada sedikit di sini itu kenapa kalau misalnya kita temanya chicken, belum terlalu kelihatan chickennya itu di sebelah mana. Walaupun memang ini ada yang kata sini adalah yang bisa saya tebak itu lebih ke paha ayam. Tapi fine line-nya untuk menentukan dia bahwa dia itu adalah paha ayam itu kurang terlihat. Dan sorry sedikit ya kalau misalnya bang agak berisik kalau di luar sana. Ini sebenarnya tinggal diboleh sedikit lagi aja, lebih dilihat lagi bahwa apa sih yang memang dijual sama toko itu adalah goreng. Karena kalau misalnya kayak gini, ada kemungkinan bahwa orang itu mengira ini adalah second point, bukan justification gitu. Tapi so far sih ini sebenarnya udah bisa masuk kalau misalnya dari pembahasan mereka yang sebelumnya. Boleh bisa coba? Titik yang bawah. Oke, kalau misalnya untuk titik ini, titik dan saya itu adalah sebenarnya kan kalau misalnya dari tagline-nya udah oke nih ya, the best chicken in town. Tapi gambar yang ditampilkan itu adalah ayam utuh. Jadi ibaratnya kayak saya menampilkan gambar sebuah ayam utuh, tapi tagline saya adalah the best chicken in the town. Walaupun memang sama-sama chicken, tapi kan dalam artian ketika fried chicken itu biasanya yang ditampilkan adalah ayam yang sudah digoreng. Kalau misalnya seperti ini, sorry ya, tapi ketika kita melihat dari jauh, itu bisa jadi melihatnya bahwa oh ini kayaknya brand beras nih, atau brand ayam mentah, bukan ayam yang sudah siap saji sudah dimakan. Komentarnya itu aja. Tapi saya bukan saya bilang jelek ya, cuman dalam artian kurang sesuai aja dengan tagline dengan gambarnya. Jadi kalau misalnya mau mungkin nanti bisa dirubah lagi gambarnya, sama untuk ornamennya sih udah oke lah ya. Pemilihan warna juga oke. Cuman itu aja sih dari gambar. Jadi kayak sebenarnya kenapa kalau saya komentarin kalau misalnya saya ngeliat dari jauh, karena kan kadang visibility itu juga penting. Ketika orang dari jauh ngelihat, oh ini apa ya? Kayaknya enak nih. Karena apa yang kita mau jual, orang itu bisa harus melihat dari jauh ataupun dari dekat. Gitu aja. Next-nya, yang Nipolo. Untuk yang Nipolo ini sebenarnya udah oke. Dia terlihat kan kayak, oh iya ini kayak ayam yang enak nih. Entah itu digoreng entah apa, tapi untuk market di Indonesia, dengan tagline-nya dengan bahasa seperti ini, sulit dirasa untuk mudah ditangkap. Karena kalau misalnya kita di Indonesia, pasti kita misalnya ngelihat tagline yang memang benar-benar gampang diingat atau pasti gitu ya ketika ngelihat, oh ya ini ayam. Jadi kan ketika kita ngelihat, ini apa nih ayam? Atau apa ya? Nipolo itu apa ya? Jadi ada pertanyaan. Itu aja sih. Nah, next-nya kita langsung ke pengumuman pemenang aja. Pemenang itu adalah Golden Crepes Delight. Oke. Kenapa saya pilih Golden Crepes Delight ini sebagai pemenangnya? Karena kalau misalnya saya lihat itu walaupun dia menggunakan Arial ya kalau teleponnya, tapi dia menjelaskan beberapa part yang memang menggunakan fine line sebagai identitas brandnya, bahwa dia itu adalah sebuah brand ayam crispy yang menjual yang apa ya, ibaratnya saya lihat itu kalau misalnya lihat dan lihat brand ini, Golden Crispy itu adalah brand-brand yang cukup high end, model high end. Walaupun dia hanya menjual ayam goreng, tapi kita bisa lihat dengan sekilas, oh iya, ini kayaknya enak nih. Sama kayak McD, ketika kita lihat McD juga kan dia hanya harisan, gitu loh. Simple, tapi orang-orang udah tahu. Jadi sebenarnya adalah Golden Crispy Delight. Selamat untuk pemenang.
Thank you, Mr. Eric, for your feedback and announcement. Also, congratulations for Gina Akila for your winner. You can contact Amanda for claiming your prize. Now, with this completed feedback session, it means we have already done our workshop session. Dengan selesainya sesi workshop kita ini, saya sebagai moderator berterima kasih kepada panitia karena sudah memberikan kesempatan ini. Lebih dan kurangnya saya mohon maaf. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi Santi Om, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan untuk kita semua. Together we'll be connected as one, ALSA, always be one. Agenda selanjutnya akan saya kembalikan kepada MC.
Baik, terima kasih Tania. Selanjutnya adalah penyerahan sertifikat oleh Vice Director of External Affairs Saudara Kika kepada pemateri kita, Ms. Raluka Pikovan, yang akan diwakili oleh Saudara Erik Adi Prawira selaku Account Manager of Learn Creative. Terima kasih kepada Ms. Raluka yang telah menjadi pemateri pada acara kita kali ini, serta terima kasih kepada Saudara Erik atas feedback yang diberikan kepada peserta ICT Class.
Thank you everyone, and thank you all of us that really thank you for the kesempatannya and the chance and everything that everyone that already joined to this webinar. Terima kasih juga atas perhatiannya. Mudah-mudahan semua materi yang diberikan oleh lokal itu bisa bermanfaat untuk semuanya, dan juga feedback yang sudah diberikan juga bisa bermanfaat untuk semuanya. Dan selamat untuk para pemenang Gina ya tadi. Selamat untuk Gina bahwa udah bisa membuat ini ya, sebuah logo yang dalam form singkat tapi cukup jelas.
Oke, sebelumnya terima kasih banyak Mas Erik ya atas waktunya dan juga Ms. Raluka atas pemaparan materinya yang sangat insightful untuk para hadirin sekalian. Maka dengan ini saya Kika Rigi selaku Co-Director of External Affairs dari ALSA ICT ingin mengucapkan terima kasih yang sedalam-dalamnya, dan berikut adalah sebagai tanda terima kasih kami kepada Ms. Raluka dan juga Mas Erik selaku perwakilan dari Ms. Raluka, dan juga salam hangat dari kami Mas Erik untuk tim untuk semoga bisa menjadi yang terbaik. Terima kasih Mas Erik.
Selanjutnya, terima kasih Tania telah menjadi moderator pada sesi pemaparan materi dan workshop. Sebagai bentuk terima kasih, kami akan memberikan sertifikat pada Tania Sabrina Amalia selaku moderator ALSA ICT Class. Untuk Raihan, selaku Project Officer ALSA ICT Class, dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Tania sudah menjadi moderator dalam acara kita pada hari ini. Dengan ini aku berikan penghargaan berupa sertifikat. Mohon diterima dan semoga sukses terus.
Baik, terima kasih Oman dan teman-teman panitia karena telah mempercayai saya menjadi moderator pada acara ICT Class kali ini.
Sebelum berakhirnya acara pada hari ini, kita akan melakukan foto session. Teman boleh nih mengaktifkan kameranya dan tim dokumentasi bisa mengambil fotonya. Oke, bisa kita mulai ya. Fotonya 1, 2, 3. Lagi. Sekali lagi nggak? Oke, sekali lagi ya. 1, 2, 3. Oke. Baik, terima kasih teman-teman yang udah mengaktifkan kameranya. Dengan berakhirnya foto session, maka telah selesailah rangkaian acara ALSA ICT Class hari ini. Dan kepada para peserta, sebelum meninggalkan ruangan Zoom meeting, diharapkan untuk mengisi link presensi yang telah dikirimkan panitia pada kolom chat. Terima kasih banyak kepada para peserta yang telah hadir pada acara hari ini. Saya selaku MC pamit undur diri. Mohon maaf apabila ada kesalahan maupun kekurangan kata. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi 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 Om, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan untuk kita semua. Together we be connected as one, may ALSA always be one.
Recording stopped.